Describe a place not in your home where you go to relax. You should say where the place is, what the place looks like, how you spend your time in this place, and explain why this place helps you to relax.
One of my absolute favorite places to unwind and escape from the usual chaos is the General Sciences Library in Ho Chi Minh City. Now, this isn't just any ordinary library. It's not just any library. It's kind of a peaceful sanctuary right in the middle of the city's buzz. Now, about the library. It's this grand old building surrounded by lush gardens. Inside, it's quite expansive with high ceilings and rows upon rows of bookshelves filled with every kind of book you can imagine. My favorite spot is this cozy corner with huge windows that flood the area with natural light and offer a pretty stunning view of the garden. When I hang out there, I usually tuck myself into one of the big, soft chairs with a good book. Could be fiction, could be a bit of history, just depends on the mood. Sometimes, though, I just sit by the window and people watch or let my mind wander, maybe scribble some thoughts down in my journal. It's the perfect spot for some alone time, or to really focus on my studies without anyone bugging me. What really makes this library a perfect relaxation spot for me is the overall atmosphere. There's this sort of unspoken rule that this is a place for peace and quiet, which really helps you forget your troubles for a bit. Being surrounded by books, it kind of feels like I'm in a safe bubble, away from the chaos of daily life. So, whenever I need a break or some space to think, that's where I head. It's like my little retreat where I can recharge and get back to my best.
Describe a useful skill that you learned when you were a teenager. You should say what it is, when you learned it, who you learned it from, and explain how you feel about this skill.
One of the most valuable skills I picked up during my teenage years was designing informative yet visually appealing Google Slides. I first got the hang of it when I was about 15, around the time I entered high school. It was during a group project for my history class. My teacher, Miss Trang, assigned us a project on World War II, and we had to present our findings to the entire class. Initially, I didn't have a clue about making slides that looked good and conveyed information effectively. I was quite overwhelmed. Fortunately, one of my friends, Nam, who was tech-savvy, guided me through the process. He showed me how to use different features of Google Slides, like inserting images, using themes, and adding animations to make our presentation more engaging. At first, it was a bit challenging to balance aesthetics with content. However, with practice and a lot of trial and error, I started to get the hang of it. I learned how to create a cohesive flow of information, use bullet points effectively, and choose colors and fonts that were easy on the eyes. Looking back, I feel incredibly proud of this skill. Not only did it help me score well on that history project, but it also became something I relied on throughout high school and even now in university. Every time I have to present something, I feel confident knowing that I can make slides that are both informative and aesthetically pleasing. It's a skill that has definitely given me an edge, and I'm really grateful to have learned it when I did.
Describe a famous person that is a role model for young people. You should say who he or she is, how you knew him or her, what he or she has done, and explain why he or she can be a role model for young people.
All right, I'd like to talk about Jensen Huang, the CEO and co-founder of NVIDIA, who I think is a fantastic role model for young people today. I first heard about him a few years ago when I was getting into computer science and gaming. NVIDIA's graphics cards are really popular among gamers and tech enthusiasts, so his name kept popping up. Jensen Huang has done some pretty amazing things in his career. He started NVIDIA in 1993, and since then, the company has become a leader in the tech industry, especially in graphics processing units, or GPUs. These GPUs are not only used for gaming, but also for scientific research, artificial intelligence, and even self-driving cars. But what really makes him stand out as a role model, in my opinion, is his perseverance and innovative spirit. When he started NVIDIA, it was a small company, and the tech landscape was very different from what it is now. He faced numerous challenges, yet he never gave up. His ability to foresee the potential of GPU technology and steer his company in the right direction shows incredible vision and leadership. Also, Jensen Huang is known for being down-to-earth and approachable, which is pretty rare among top executives. He often shares his knowledge and experience with young entrepreneurs and students, encouraging them to pursue their dreams and not be afraid of failure. From what I see, Jensen Huang's story is pretty amazing when you think about it. Starting from a small company and turning it into a huge tech leader is no small feat. And the fact that he stays humble and focused on innovation just adds to his appeal. He really shows that with the right mindset, you can achieve big things and make a real difference.
Describe a time when you had a problem with using the computer. You should say when it happened, where it happened, what the problem was, and explain how you solved the problem at last.
A couple of years ago, during my college finals, I encountered a frustrating issue with my laptop. It was a particularly stressful period, and I was in my dorm room, working late into the night to finish an important assignment due the next morning. Everything was going smoothly until I decided to update my Windows operating system, thinking it would be quick and easy. However, immediately after the update, my laptop crashed. The screen went black, and no matter what I did, it wouldn't boot up. Naturally, I panicked. I had spent hours working on that assignment, and now it seemed like all my effort was going down the drain. I tried a few basic troubleshooting steps like restarting the laptop, but nothing worked. At this point, I was really stressed out because the deadline was looming. Then, I remembered a trick my tech-savvy friend had taught me. I booted the laptop in safe mode, which, thankfully, worked. From there, I was able to access the system recovery options. I decided to roll back the update, hoping it would solve the issue. To my immense relief, it did. The laptop restarted, and everything was back to normal. With my laptop up and running again, I quickly backed up my assignment to a USB drive, my Google Drive, and emailed a copy to myself just in case. I worked through the night to complete the assignment and managed to submit it on time. So that was my little tech nightmare. It taught me a valuable lesson about not updating my OS right before a deadline and always backing up my work.
Describe a party that you enjoyed. You should say when you went to the party, where the party was held, what kind of party it was, and explain why you enjoyed this party.
I want to share about an incredible party I went to at the end of last year. It was our company's annual year-end bash, held in mid-January, just before we started our Tet holiday celebrations. The event took place in this really stylish hotel ballroom right in the city center, which was quite convenient for everyone to get to. We all got to dress up in our fanciest outfits, which was a nice change from the usual office attire. There was this incredible buffet with all kinds of delicious food, everything from sushi to roast beef, and plenty of drinks to go around. The evening started with a formal dinner, and then we moved on to the fun stuff like dancing and live music. One of the best parts of the night, in my opinion, was the awards ceremony. Our management team took the time to recognize a bunch of employees for their hard work over the year. It was really inspiring to see my colleagues being appreciated, and it gave me a sense of pride to be part of such a supportive team. One of my closest friends at work even won an award, and I was so happy for him. What really made the night special, though, was the atmosphere. It was so relaxed and fun, a complete contrast to our usual busy workdays. We had a chance to chat, laugh, and just enjoy each other's company outside of the office setting. There was this moment when we were all on the dance floor, just letting loose and having a great time. By the end of the night, I felt like we had all bonded so much more. It was just a fantastic way to wrap up the year, celebrate our achievements, and look forward to the next year.
Describe a person who thinks music is important and enjoys music. You should say, who is this person? How have you known him or her? What music does he or she like? Why does he or she think music is important? Explain how you feel about him or her.
So, let me tell you about my high school friend Trung. He's currently studying business administration at college, but music has always been his true passion. We actually met when I was organizing a school event, and his band was performing. I remember being blown away by their performance and ended up chatting with him afterward. We've been close friends ever since. Trung is really into indie rock and alternative music. Bands like Radiohead and Arctic Monkeys are his favorites. He's always telling me how much he loves the raw and genuine emotions in their lyrics and how their unique sound is so different from the typical mainstream music. I've seen him get lost in those songs, and it's pretty cool to watch. One thing that really stands out about Trung is how much he believes in the power of music. He thinks music is this kind of universal language that can express emotions and ideas way better than words alone. He once told me that creating music helps him understand himself better and deal with life's ups and downs. I really admire Trung for his dedication. Even with his busy schedule at college, he always makes time for music. And it's just impressive how he balances his demanding studies with his passion for music. When I listen to the songs he's written, I can feel a deep connection to his thoughts and emotions. It's amazing how his music makes me appreciate its power even more, especially knowing it comes from a close friend. Honestly, having Trung as a friend has shown me how important it is to stay true to what you love, no matter how busy life gets. His passion for music is truly infectious, and I'm grateful to have someone like him in my life.
Describe a family photograph you remember. You should say when it was taken, who was or were in the picture, what it reminds you, and explain why you remember this family photograph.
So, there's this photograph from my sister's wedding that I always remember vividly. It was taken around 3 years ago on a really beautiful summer afternoon. The wedding took place in a charming garden, and this particular photo was taken right after the ceremony ended. In the photo, you can see my whole family. My parents are on the left side, both looking so proud and happy. My dad has his arm around my mom, and she's holding this gorgeous bouquet of flowers. Then there's my sister, the bride, right in the center, looking absolutely stunning in her white dress. Next to her is her husband, dressed in a sharp black suit, looking really handsome. And there I am, standing next to my sister with a big grin plastered on my face. My younger brother is beside me, trying to look all cool, but you can see he's really happy too. Every time I look at this photo, it brings back a flood of memories. I remember the laughter, the heartfelt speeches, the dancing, and even the tears of joy. It was such a joyful and emotional day. This photograph really captures that perfect blend of love and happiness. What makes this picture so special for me is that it marks a huge milestone for our family. My sister getting married was a big deal for all of us. Seeing us all together, dressed up and smiling, really shows the strong bond we share. Plus, whenever I see this picture, it instantly takes me back to that moment when we were all so genuinely happy and united. It's a snapshot of a perfect day that I'll always treasure. So yeah, that's the story behind this family photograph. It's not just a picture, it's a beautiful reminder of a wonderful day and the strong connection we all have.
Describe a time you taught something new to a younger person. You should say what you taught, whom you taught it to, why you teach it to this person, and explain how you felt about it.
A couple of years ago, I had the chance to teach my younger cousin, Thao, how to use a film camera. It was quite an interesting experience because, most kids these days are all about digital cameras and smartphones. But thou, she found my old film camera fascinating. My cousin was around 14 at that time, and she had this curious mind. She came over to my place, and I showed her my vintage camera collection. She was particularly intrigued by a classic Canon AE1. I decided to teach her how to use it, partly because I thought it would be a fun bonding experience, and partly because I wanted her to appreciate the art of traditional photography. First, I explained the basics of loading the film. It's quite different from just popping in a memory card, so it took her a few tries to get it right. Then, I showed her how to adjust the aperture and shutter speed. She was really keen and picked it up pretty quickly. We spent an entire afternoon taking photos around the neighborhood. She was so excited when we developed the film and saw the results. I felt really proud and happy to share this knowledge with her. It reminded me of when I first learned photography from my dad, and seeing her enthusiasm was incredibly rewarding. It was like passing down a piece of family tradition. It also made me realize how important it is to keep these older skills alive, even in a world dominated by digital technology. So yeah, it was a pretty special moment for both of us.